Every morning you open your bathroom cabinet and there it is, a colourful jumble of vitamin bottles. A familiar sight, isn't it? We've always been told they're the secret to everlasting youth and good health, especially once we hit our 60s. But what if I told you that most of those pills are just expensive placebos? Worse still, some could actually be doing your body more harm than good. In this video, we're going to uncover the whole truth about multivitamins. Once you're past 60, we'll look at which supplements you genuinely need, which ones you should stop taking immediately, and how to spot a marketing scam a mile off. I promise you, by the end of this film, your approach to that morning ritual will have completely changed. By the way, let me know right now in the comments section, what vitamins or supplements are you currently taking? I genuinely love to find out. To understand why we put so much faith in the miracle pill, we need a quick look back at history. The concept of packaging health into a single capsule really took off in the mid-20th century. The post-war era, a time of chemical breakthroughs and major scientific discoveries, created fertile ground for the belief that science could solve any problem, including the aging process. Pharmaceutical companies were quick to jump on this trend, selling multivitamins as a simple, convenient insurance policy against illness and poor diet. The advertising painted a rosy picture: one tablet a day, and you'd be brimming with vitality, energy, and protected from disease. This idea has become so deeply embedded in our collective minds that we pass it down through the generations. But here's the crucial catch. This insurance was originally designed for the average younger adult. Once you're over 60, your body is a completely different, unique system with its own specific needs and, crucially, a far greater set of vulnerabilities. Let's start with the biggest misunderstanding out there. It's that old myth that more is always better. We often think if we're going to take vitamins, we should load up the pill with everything, getting doses that are hundreds or even thousands of % above the daily requirement. But our body isn't a warehouse, you see. It simply can't store most vitamins for later use. There's a concept called the recommended dietary allowance, and that's the amount you actually need just to prevent a deficiency in a healthy adult. Anything above that limit, especially with water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and the B vitamins, your body will just get rid of through your urine. Imagine trying to pour 2 litres of water into a 1-litre jug. What happens to the excess? It simply spills over. Vitamins work the same way. In the best case scenario, you're just buying very expensive urine. But in the worst case, you're putting unnecessary strain on your kidneys, which, let's face it, aren't quite as efficient as they were when we were younger. So, chasing after those megadoses isn't just wasteful. Frankly, it's rather unwise. Now here's a crucial thing the manufacturers often keep quiet about: how well our bodies actually absorb nutrients as we get older. Our entire digestive system changes, doesn't it? Once we hit our 60s, we often start producing less stomach acid. This acid is absolutely essential for breaking down our food, and crucially, for freeing up the vitamins inside, especially things like vitamin B12. On top of that, our enzymes slow down, and our gut transit time often gets a bit sluggish. What this really means is that even if you swallow a tablet with a supposedly perfect formulation, there's no guarantee that every single component will actually get where it needs to go. Your body simply might not have the time or the capability to properly process and absorb it. This is why the form of the vitamin or mineral in the supplement becomes critically important. Take magnesium, for example. Certain types are absorbed far, far better than others. Those inexpensive basic multivitamins often use the cheapest, simplest, and frankly, the least absorbable forms, purely because it saves the manufacturer money. The result is that you take the pill and it passes straight through you, practically untouched, providing none of the benefits you were hoping for. It's a bit like trying to fill up your car with fuel that the engine simply isn't designed to burn. But now, let's turn our attention to a genuine danger: hypervitaminosis. While the body can usually flush out any excess water-soluble vitamins, it gets much trickier with the fat-soluble ones. We're talking about vitamins A, D, E, and K. They don't just pass through in your urine. Instead, they build up in your fatty tissues and your liver. This is exactly where the more is better attitude turns into a silent time bomb. Chronic overuse of vitamin A, for instance, can lead to liver damage, nasty headaches, and the thinning of your bones, which is especially serious if you're already concerned about osteoporosis. Too much vitamin D causes calcium to build up in your bloodstream, potentially harming your kidneys and blood vessels. And having excessive vitamin E can increase your risk of bleeding, particularly if you're already taking blood-thinning medication. The real danger is that the symptoms of hypervitaminosis are often vague, things like nausea, general weakness, or dizziness. It's so easy to just dismiss these as just getting older. So people often keep popping those helpful little vits and unintentionally make their condition much worse. We really must turn our attention now to the star supplement of recent years, vitamin D. It's often referred to as the sunshine vitamin, and deficiency is alarmingly widespread, particularly in these northern climes, and certainly among those of us who are getting on a bit. You see, as we get older, our skin becomes less effective at synthesizing vitamin D when we are out in the sun. Yet, this vitamin is absolutely vital for absorbing calcium, which of course is the bedrock of healthy bones. A lack of vitamin D is a clear precursor to osteoporosis and those nasty fractures. So yes, a supplemental dose of vitamin D after the age of 60 is usually highly recommended. However, here's where we must pay close attention. The dosage is critical. It is absolutely imperative that you do not start self-prescribing high doses, as that could potentially lead to the toxic effects we discussed previously. The perfect route is to ask for a blood test to check your levels of 25-hydroxyvitamin D. Once those results are in, your GP can then tailor a safe, effective, and personalised dosage just for you. Remember, vitamin D is less a simple supplement and more of a potent hormone, and it must be treated with the seriousness it deserves. Vitamin D's loyal companion is always calcium. For decades, the adverts have hammered home the message, take calcium for strong bones. And older women, terrified of breaking a hip, dutifully buy those calcium supplements. Now, calcium is absolutely essential. It is the main building block for our bones. But recent research has uncovered what they call the calcium paradox. It turns out that when we take calcium supplements, especially in high doses, it doesn't always go where we want it to go, the bones. Instead, it can start depositing itself on the walls of our blood vessels, making them stiff and brittle. This is known as arterial calcification, and it significantly increases the risk of serious problems like heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes. So, in trying to save our bones, we might actually be harming our heart. It is much safer to get your calcium naturally through food, things like dairy, green leafy vegetables, and sesame seeds, and for that calcium to be directed exactly where it needs to go, into the bone tissue, it needs helpers. A key helper is vitamin K2, which unfortunately is often missing from those cheaper, generic supplement formulas. Now let's talk about vitamin B12. This is a real powerhouse, essentially an energy booster for our brain and nervous system. It's crucial for making red blood cells, which prevents anemia, and it keeps our nerve pathways healthy. The complication is that absorption is a tricky process, and sadly, it often deteriorates as we get older. For the B12 we eat in our food to actually be absorbed in the gut, your stomach needs to produce a specific protein called intrinsic factor, sometimes known as Castle's factor. But, as we are often reminded, the acidity and overall function of the stomach start to decline significantly once we hit our 60s. The result is that even if you eat plenty of meat or fish, you can still end up with a deficiency. The symptoms of B12 deficiency are often quite insidious. Things like persistent, chronic tiredness, pins and needles in your hands and feet, worsening memory, and even a noticeable unsteadiness in your walking. It is incredibly easy to just put all of this down to simply getting old. This is why monitoring your B12 level, and if necessary, taking a supplement in an easily digestible form. Perhaps a sublingual spray or an injection is truly a critical part of maintaining good health in later life. Let's look at another important member of the B complex family, folic acid or vitamin B9. A lot of people only associate this one with pregnancy, but its role in the body is actually much broader. Folic acid is absolutely vital for cell division and repair, something we need throughout our lives, not just when we're young. Crucially, it works together with vitamin B12 in blood formation and helps keep our homocysteine levels in check. High levels of homocysteine are a known risk factor for developing heart and circulatory issues. But here's the snag, and it's an important one. Most of the cheaper supplements on the market use synthetic folic acid. This form requires specific enzymes in your body to convert it into its usable, active state. For some individuals, due to genetics, the activity of those conversion enzymes is naturally slowed down. When that happens, the unconverted folic acid can build up in the bloodstream, and evidence suggests that having too much of this unactivated form isn't particularly beneficial. The far better and more preferred form is methylfolate. This is already the active version of the vitamin, meaning your body can use it straight away without needing to process it first. This highlights once again why we shouldn't just look at the vitamin name on the label, but take the time to really understand the specific form it comes in. But what about those famous antioxidants like vitamin C and E? We're often told they're our knights in shining armour, fighting off those free radicals, the villains responsible for aging and disease. It's a lovely concept, and it's partially true. Free radicals certainly do damage our cells. However, when scientists started conducting large-scale clinical trials, giving people high doses of antioxidants in supplement form, the results were, to put it mildly, rather disappointing. At best, they showed absolutely no benefit when it came to preventing cancer or heart disease. And in some studies, particularly involving smokers, high doses of beta-carotene, the precursor to vitamin A, and vitamin E actually increased health risks. Why is this the case? It's likely because in nature, antioxidants don't work alone. They operate as part of an incredibly complex team, working alongside hundreds of other beneficial compounds found in fruits and vegetables. By isolating just one component and taking it in a massive dose, we risk disrupting that delicate natural balance. That's why a handful of fresh berries will always be more beneficial than a capsule containing their extract. Now let's discuss iron. Iron deficiency and the associated anemia are common issues, particularly for women of reproductive age. However, once menopause begins, a woman's need for iron drops sharply because the monthly blood loss stops. Men naturally have a lower iron requirement to begin with, and this is where taking multivitamins that contain a standard dose of iron can actually backfire. The key point is that the body cannot easily flush out excess iron. Instead, it accumulates in the tissues and organs, most notably the liver and the heart. And here is the danger. Iron is a powerful pro-oxidant. This means it actually helps create the very same free radicals we are trying to fight off with antioxidants. Excess iron has been linked to an increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Therefore, once you pass the age of 60, you should only take iron supplements if specifically advised by your doctor and if blood tests confirm a genuine deficiency. In all other circumstances, taking iron is not only unnecessary, but potentially harmful. We often hear about all those famous vitamins, but magnesium is often overlooked, yet it's probably one of the most vital minerals we need, especially as we get a bit older. They call it the mineral of calmness, or sometimes the unsung conductor, and that's because it's involved in over 300 essential functions and reactions happening inside our bodies. Magnesium is crucial for keeping our muscles working properly. And yes, that includes the heart muscle. It also helps manage our nervous system, maintain a steady heart rhythm, and keep blood pressure within a healthy range. Plus, it plays a key role in how our bodies use glucose, which is really important when we talk about preventing type 2 diabetes. Unfortunately, magnesium deficiency is surprisingly common. As we age, our bodies just don't absorb it from food as efficiently, and we tend to lose more through the kidneys, especially if we're taking certain medications like diuretics or water tablets. The classic symptoms of being low on magnesium include those annoying muscle cramps, twitches, irritability, and perhaps most commonly, poor sleep. That's why a magnesium supplement, in a form that's easily absorbed, like citrate or glycinate, can be one of the most beneficial additions to the daily routine for anyone over the age of 60. Another essential mineral we need to discuss is zinc. It truly acts as the vital defender of our immune system. Zinc is absolutely necessary for the healthy development and proper function of the immune cells that form our body's first line of defense against viruses and bacteria. Now, as we get older, our immune system naturally begins to weaken, a process known to medical science as immunosenescence, or simply immune aging. A lack of adequate zinc contributes significantly to this decline. Older adults who are deficient in zinc often find themselves catching more frequent respiratory illnesses, and these conditions tend to run a more severe or drawn-out course. Furthermore, zinc plays a crucial role in wound healing. This is particularly relevant to us as the regenerative capabilities of our skin naturally slow down as the years pass. It is also vital for maintaining a healthy sense of taste and smell. While a severe zinc deficiency is rare, moderate insufficiency, or having suboptimal levels, is surprisingly common. However, it is crucial to remember that balance is key here. Too much zinc can actually interfere with your body's ability to absorb copper, which is another necessary mineral. Therefore, consulting with your doctor or GP before starting any new supplement regime is absolutely essential. This is a crucial point that far too many people overlook. Vitamins and minerals are chemically active substances. They can, and they absolutely will, interact with any medications you are currently taking. And those of us over 60 often have quite a list of regular prescriptions. Let me give you just a few examples. Vitamin K, which is essential for blood clotting, can completely neutralize the effect of anticoagulants like warfarin. That, of course, runs the risk of forming dangerous blood clots. Conversely, things like vitamin E and fish oil can actually boost the effect of blood thinners, significantly increasing the risk of bleeding. Furthermore, some studies suggest that antioxidants, such as vitamin C and E, may potentially reduce the effectiveness of chemotherapy and radiation treatment for cancer. Even seemingly harmless St. John's wort, often found in those calming herbal mixtures, interferes with liver enzymes and can change the concentration of dozens of vital medicines in your system. So, here is the number one rule. If you are taking any medication on a regular basis, you absolutely must not start any new supplement without first clearing it with your GP or consultant. When you look at supplement packaging, you're constantly seeing labels like 100% natural, organic, or purely plant-based. These terms really work a magic trick on us, creating the illusion of complete safety. But let's be honest about this. Natural is not synonymous with safe. The toxin from a deathcap mushroom, for example, is entirely natural too. The supplement industry, unlike Big Pharma, is regulated far more loosely. Control over quality, the purity of the raw ingredients, and whether the actual contents match what's on the label, often leaves a lot to be desired. We've seen cases where banned psychotropic drugs were found hidden in natural weight loss pills, and heavy metals or pesticides were turning up in supposedly pure herbal collections. What's more, the plant itself, even a supposedly beneficial one, can trigger a serious allergic reaction. So don't blindly trust those marketing gimmicks and the pretty green leaves printed on the box. Safety isn't about naturalness, it's about strict quality control and rigorous clinical testing. Testing that the vast majority of these supplements simply haven't undergone. Right then, if we are not taking the pills, what should we be doing instead? The answer, rather wonderfully, is both simple and profound. You must turn your attention to what is on your plate. No pill, Not even the most expensive, perfectly balanced supplement can ever truly replace the goodness you get from whole foods. This phenomenon has a rather useful name: food synergy. Essentially, this means that the nutrients in your food work together as a magnificent team, boosting each other's effects. Think of an apple, for instance. It does not just contain vitamin C, it has hundreds of other phytonutrients, flavonoids, and essential fiber. All of them, working as one, give you a far more powerful health boost than that lonely, isolated vitamin C capsule ever could. Iron from your meat is absorbed better when you pair it with vitamin C-rich vegetables. Similarly, the calcium in your spinach reaches your bones more effectively thanks to the vitamin K that spinach naturally contains. A pill is completely lacking this context. It hands you only one or two naked elements. Real food, however, offers you an entire orchestra of beneficial substances, playing a perfectly coordinated symphony of health. That is why investing in quality, varied and fresh ingredients is truly the very best investment you can make in your own longevity and well-being. Having said all of that, it would be quite wrong to completely write off or demonize supplements. There are, in fact, situations where they are genuinely necessary and crucially important. Firstly, we look at medically confirmed deficiencies. If your blood test results show a genuinely low level of vitamin D, iron, or B12, trying to correct that solely through diet is going to be incredibly difficult and take a very long time. In these specific instances, your GP or consultant will prescribe therapeutic doses of medication. Secondly, we have medical conditions linked to malabsorption, things like Crohn's disease, celiac disease, or complications following certain types of gastric surgery. Thirdly, we must consider very strict restrictive diets. For example, it is practically impossible for someone following a vegan diet to obtain sufficient vitamin B12 from plant-based foods alone, and supplementation is strongly advisable for them. Fourthly, certain necessary medications can inadvertently deplete your body's stores of key nutrients. For example, metformin, commonly prescribed for diabetes, is known to potentially lower B12 levels, while statins can sometimes reduce coenzyme Q10. In these very specific, clearly defined situations, taking supplements is absolutely justified. However, this must always be a targeted measure, properly controlled and monitored by your healthcare professional. Assuming you and your doctor have decided a supplement is absolutely necessary, it's vital that you know how to read the label properly. Don't be fooled by bright packaging or exaggerated claims. The first thing to look for is independent certification seals, such as USP or NSF. This offers you some assurance that what's actually in the bottle is what's advertised, and in the correct dose. Secondly, check the column labelled % of daily value. If you see figures there like 500, 1000, or even 5000%, you really need to question whether you need that much. The only exception, of course, is if your doctor has prescribed a specific therapeutic dose. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, look closely at the form of the nutrient. We've mentioned before that methylfolate is often preferable to standard folic acid, and magnesium citrate is better absorbed than magnesium oxide. This does require a little bit of research, but the information is easy to find online. By choosing a quality, bioavailable form, you significantly increase the chances that you won't be throwing your money away. When you walk into the chemist these days, you see entire shelves dedicated to vitamins. They're plastered with labels like for seniors, silver, or 50+. Now, this is a very clever marketing tactic, isn't it? We naturally feel that the manufacturers have really thought about us, creating something special that perfectly suits our needs as we age. But let's take a closer look at what's actually inside the box. More often than not, the senior formula is only different from a regular multivitamin because it has higher levels of vitamin D and vitamin B12 and usually lacks iron. And, to be fair, that does make some sense. However, alongside those key vitamins, they often throw in dozens of other components, usually in tiny, almost homeopathic doses. These don't offer any real benefit, but they certainly allow the manufacturer to print a very long list of ingredients on the packaging. And of course, the price tag for these specialised complexes is usually much higher. Essentially, you're paying a premium just for the marketing spin. It's far more sensible and much thriftier to simply buy good quality vitamin D and B12 separately in the dose you actually require, rather than shelling out for a fancy 20-in-1 complex that does little more than empty your wallet. So, what's the main takeaway from all of this? It's actually quite straightforward. Self-medicating with vitamins can be genuinely dangerous. Your first and most important step towards better health shouldn't be popping down to the chemist for another colourful bottle, but rather seeing a good, thoughtful doctor. Your GP. Ideally, don't be shy about asking questions. Make sure you tell your doctor about all the medications and supplements you are currently taking. Do ask them to run some basic blood tests to check the levels of those key vitamins and minerals that are often deficient at your time of life. This should include, at the very least, vitamin D, B12, ferritin to check your iron stores, and a general full blood count. Only once you have this objective data can you make a truly informed decision about whether you actually need a specific supplement. Your doctor will take into account your individual medical history, any medicines you are already on, and your test results, and they will give you recommendations tailored specifically for you. That is personalised medicine, not blindly following some generic advice you saw advertised. Let's imagine you've decided to ditch the idea of finding health in a pill and focus squarely on your food instead. So, what should you be putting in your supermarket trolley? Here are a few genuine superfoods for the over 60 crowd. First up, oily fish from cold seas. Think salmon, herring and mackerel. They are simply the best source of omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. Secondly, all kinds of berries. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. The list goes on. They are packed with antioxidants that protect our cells. Thirdly, dark green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale and broccoli. These are a treasure trove of vitamin K, magnesium and calcium. Fourth, we need fermented dairy products like natural yogurt or kefir. They really support good gut health, and that directly impacts how well your body absorbs all those essential nutrients. And finally, don't forget your nuts and seeds, especially walnuts and flax seeds. They provide plant-based omega-3s and essential fibre. A colourful, varied plate. That right there is your best multivitamin complex. Right then, let's wrap things up and draw a clear action plan, your personalised health strategy. Step 1. Conduct a proper audit of your medicine cabinet. Take a hard, critical look at all those tubs of multivitamins and ask yourself honestly, who prescribed this to me and why am I actually taking it? If the answer is, I saw it advertised, or my neighbour recommended it, then set that container aside immediately. Step 2. Shift your focus from pills to your plate. Start planning your diet to ensure it's as diverse and nutrient-rich as possible. Step 3, and this is crucial, book an appointment with your GP. Discuss your concerns openly and ask them to run blood tests for the key indicators. Step 4, if those tests reveal a deficiency, then work alongside your doctor to select a single nutrient supplement, what we call a mono preparation. This means finding a specific vitamin or mineral in an adequate, bioavailable dose. This 4-step plan is far more effective than simply taking a dubious multivitamin complex every day. This brings us to perhaps the most crucial turning point in this whole discussion. The biggest misconception isn't whether vitamins are inherently good or bad. It's the fact that we are all searching for a magic pill. We simply want a quick and easy fix for the complex problem of aging, and the multi-billion-pound supplement industry is more than happy to sell us this illusion, neatly wrapped up in attractive packaging. They play directly on our fear of illness and our desire for effortless health and longevity. But the real magic isn't in a bottle, it's on our plate, in our daily activity levels, and in the sound advice of a competent doctor. So, let's quickly recap what we've established today. Multivitamins after the age of 60 are not a universal solution. More often than not, they are a waste of money, and sometimes they pose a very real health risk due to potential overdosing, toxicity, or dangerous interactions with prescription medications. The key to robust health in later life is not a handful of pills, but a personalised approach, focusing on whole foods, identifying and precisely correcting genuine deficiencies through blood tests, and consulting your GP. That is the genuine, workable strategy for longevity. Thank you for sticking with us and watching this important video all the way to the end. If you found this information useful or learned something new, please do give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next myth-busting video. Our goal is to promote your health based on sound science, not clever marketing. Now we have one final question for you. After watching this, will you be changing your approach to taking supplements? And do you plan to discuss this specifically with your own GP or consultant? Please share your thoughts and plans in the comments below.